Well, it was 0-0 at the Den. It was 1-1 at Portman Road, tied on points in the league table as well. We just can't seem to separate Ipswich Town and Millwall this season. Welcome to Blue Monday, an Ipswich Town podcast. I mean, that's an interesting way to start the show with the outro, isn't it? It seems to appear to be next to the pre-show countdown on my little screen here. So, no, we're not going anywhere, everybody. But I was just going to come in for you, Dave. I know, look, I get tweets off people every week saying, oh, if Ipswich don't finish in the top two, it's a massive failure and all of this. If you forget money and squad quality, Ipswich Town and Millwall are very, very evenly matched this season, aren't they? And that was a pretty good example of it at the weekend.
Yeah, it was. We'll get on to a game of the proverbial game of two halves. But I've got to say, I've said before we started up, probably the most enjoyable game, certainly home game I've seen all season. Superb. Usually these half 12 Saturday kickoffs don't really do it, but great atmosphere, nice day, nice weather, brilliant atmosphere in the ground. Both sets of fans really. Really, really good quality, I thought, championship game.
Joe, I probably know the answer, but would you like to focus on the fact that we are 7 games unbeaten in a automatic promotion running, or that we failed to win 3 of the last 4?
I think it's difficult at the moment, isn't it? Because there's just so much pressure on everything, isn't it? It just feels so... The stakes are so high for us at the moment, but ultimately, there's been a lot of talk about mental fragility in the squad and things like that. But to not lose 7 games at this stage of the running is a good thing. It shows a lot of sort of fortitude in the squad and that we can keep going, that we can pick up points from being behind and in front. But like I say, you look at our rivals for this position, and like Middlesbrough are stumbling all over the place, aren't they? And it's once you get to the business, and even if you look back when we got promoted in 23-24, the last 6 games of the season I think involved losing to Norwich, drawing at home to Watford, drawing at home to Middlesbrough, drawing away at Hull, and it's like we went a run. We got 96 points. We had like a run of like 4 games after the Southampton game where we won, and it almost looked like we were out. We picked up 2 or 3 points over the next 4 games. So once it gets to this stage of the season, all bets are off, really, aren't they?
Where are you with your framing of this, Dave? Because I know it's difficult for our fans to fathom that we've now got the parachute money and we've got the massive expectations, but this is a race, and the gimmick here is to be better than Middlesbrough and Millwall. Be a point better than Millwall and 3 points better than Middlesbrough. We've got the goal difference. Let's say 2 points better than Middlesbrough. It's a difficult one to put to one side, the fact that, you know, in terms of balance sheet, we're above these teams, but we're in a right old scrap with them now. How are you kind of processing all of that?
No, absolutely right. It's a slog. We've said before, as McKenna said, it's a 46 game slog. We're now in a 8-9 game running, of which, did we say 5 are away, 6 are away, 5 or 6
5 of the last 7.
5 of the last 7 are away. It's tough, and this is gonna. You mentioned the mental. People have said the perceived mental fragility of the squad. This is going to be a right test.
Back about that, didn't he?
Well, no, and quite rightly too. This is going to be a right test. Hopefully, by the time international break, I think it's come at pretty good time for us. We'll obviously have Kipray back. We won't have Davis back, but hopefully Nunes could be the key for us in the running, big time. So, just a lot to look forward to. Look, we'd rather be where we are than even where Southampton is. All right, just nudged into the playoffs now, but we'd much rather be there with points on the board, still in our own hands. Bring it on.
I quite like Southampton's 30 points in 12 games, but
yeah,
that's good. That's for later. Joe, something I borrow from you sometimes is of a specific round when you're trying to fathom, right, what's going on here? Who's had the kind of best and worst result? I would say objectively, Millwall have had the best result, followed by us, and then Middlesbrough have had the probably the worst result. So could be worse this round, couldn't it?
Yeah, it could have been. Had that Ivanovic shot in the 89th minute sort of gone under the crossbar rather than into the crossbar, it could have been a lot worse. So I think when you look back and you see Middlesbrough Blackburn 0-0, I think, yeah, you sort of feel like, not that you've got away with one, so to speak, but actually it feels like, actually, if you'd have said at the start of today, we're going to pick up the same amount of points as Middlesbrough, I think we'd have all taken that really at there without losing to Millwall. So on that side, I just think the issue we've got is obviously the 5 away games, but it's the schedule that we've got, because we don't play Good Friday. We come back, we go Monday, Saturday, Tuesday, Saturday, Wednesday, Saturday, Tuesday, Saturday, effectively. So we just don't have the break where all the other teams in the race, well, the 2 other teams in the race have 2 clear midweeks, where we've got all our midweeks are full. So that's going to be the really difficult part of it. So in this 7 game period, we are probably going to chuck in a couple of stinking tired performances, and it's just making sure you get enough.
Joe, we have done when we've had
that happens,
like 5 aways in a row, and there was one recently, wasn't there? I can't remember. It was just playing all the midweeks, but yeah, I totally agree. I think that is going to happen, isn't it?
Yeah, but you just have to find a way to still pick up a point or 3 when you play badly in those games, don't you? So, like, you look probably maybe not, but one of our worst performances of the season at Ewood Park, and Sindre Valiegli scores in the 95th minute, and we walk away with a point, and you think, well, actually, that will do. Sort of for maybe away at St Mary's, if something like that happens, if you chuck in a stinker and can fluke something in the last minute, walk away with a point, you think, well, actually, that's the sort of thing we're probably going to need to happen a couple of times in the last run-in of the season, when we will inevitably put in a couple of tired performances.
You enjoying it though, Dave? Remember just being 15th and being bored, and remember being in League One?
Absolutely, it's superb and it's great, isn't it? Yeah, I must admit, I haven't got quite the same feeling or anticipation as we did. I don't think anyone has 2 years ago. It was just off the charts, wasn't it?
Dave, I think everyone's understanding now how special that was, and that ain't happening again for a generation or 2.
Absolutely ridiculous.
Birmingham City fans are starting to realise that.
Oh, right. Yeah, they are.
Right, yeah.
Oh, my word. Yeah, they were not happy. So, of course, it's, as I said, bring it on. It's going to be a real test. So, the squad, supposedly the best, the most expensive squad, supposedly the best squad in the division, is going to really earn its corn over the next 8-9 games. That's for sure.
Yeah, very much so. Welcome to Blue Monday and Ipswich Town podcast. We're reflecting on the first of the 3 head-to-heads involving 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. I'm going to break away and say a big thank you to Barry Largent there, $9.99 on the Super Chat. In a world of rabid polarization, you're trying to catch me out there. Blue Monday continually provides an oasis of rational and reasoned consideration. Thank you, Dave, for that part of it. Joe provides the optimism. Keep up the great work, and come on, you Blues. Well, thank you very much, Barry. These shows will always be free, the flagship and the pre-match and all of that good stuff. But if you do want to super chat, you can, and it helps us up. It helps us out magnificently. As I was saying, the first of the 3 head-to-heads, Joe's already mentioned that as soon as we get back from the international break, it's Middlesbrough versus Millwall, and then round 43 is Ipswich versus Middlesbrough. That's another thing, Joe. You mentioned in the 5 away games out of 7, one of the home games is against Middlesbrough as well. So, yeah, ho-hum to that. Right, let's get into this then. We'll come to you first, Joe. Your Ipswich Town 11, I suppose, 1 surprise-ish here, maybe on the right wing. Walton in goal, Furlong and Johnson, Greaves, O'Shea. Mattersey were partnered by Neil, if you can give me a take on that as well, Joe. McAteer gets the start, and presumably they're thinking it's a running game. Mehmeti, Clark, and Azon. Would you have done anything differently without the benefit of hindsight, Joe?
No, that is what I'd have done, to be fair, because...
You wouldn't have played Eggerly?
No, I thought Eggerly was very poor in the last game, and also, if you're looking for someone that gives you what Wes Burns does, which is sort of that hard running, bit of physicality on the right-hand side, crosses in, getting down the line. That is what Casey McAteer's profile is. Yeah, he hasn't been very good this season when he's played. He's been a sort of a frustrating signing and hasn't really worked. And you can tell he hasn't had a lot of trust from Kieran McKenna, because there's been probably half a dozen games where you think, well, it's got to be McAteer now. He's got to come on now, and he hasn't. So hopefully he's earning that. And like I say, I thought he did well in the main yesterday as well. So I was quite pleased to see that, and hopefully he can offer us something in the running if Wes Burns' injury is worse than we hope.
And Dan Neil, Dave in central midfield.
Yeah, I thought he's very good yesterday. Back to perhaps
you wouldn't have put Taylor in.
No, I don't think so. Taylor did well. Came on last week. Sheffield Wednesday gave us a bit of drive. I think that probably, in the end got us across the line last week. But no, I don't think so. So obviously Neil had another chance, and pleased to say he was probably similar to performances he had against Swansea at home a few weeks ago. Used the ball well. Had a really good effort just wide and stuff. Yeah, got involved. Used the ball well. Didn't give the ball away, or basically no careless passes at all, as he had done in perhaps that little cameo against Hull, and certainly against Leicester, where he was fairly dreadful. So no, he was back to something that we expected him to be.
And Dave, yes or no? If Davis, Kipray, and Burns were all fit, they would have started, wouldn't they?
Oh yeah, I think so. Yeah.
For Millwall, Patterson in goal. Zach Sturge has his red card overturned. Well, how about that? Jake Cooper, more from him on every corner, and O'Shea was not blameless in this either. Caleb Taylor returns, the absolute unit of a back four here, which means they can stick another absolute unit, Kramer at right back, who's dovetailed very well with Aziz, Billy Mitchell, and Luke Cundle in central midfield. The star man is Aziz down the right, Langstaff, Nagley, and Josh Coburn up top. Joe, your thoughts?
I think it's what we were expecting, wasn't it, for their team to line up? But yeah, like you say, it is, to parlance an old Joe Royal quote, it's very much land of the giants, wasn't it?
Your thoughts on, he's getting a, when you actually look at the 11, he's doing such a good job, Alex.
Yeah.
Neil, where you think that 11's been put together. I know they spent good money on Coburn particularly, but Kramer was from Exeter, Aziz is from Reading, Taylor
where was Coburn from?
Middlesbrough, expensive. Yeah,
he was.
Yeah, he went there on loan, and and Taylor was not wanted by West Brom. And I've spoken to plenty of West Brom fans this season who've said, "Hang on a minute, how can he not get in our team?"
I think it's a strange. I think it's a team that shows if you can be what a well-run Championship team can be now. Because when we were doing this under Mick McCarthy years and years ago, it was difficult to sell your players on for big fees at the end of it. You had to rely on the loan market, where now you can bring players in. So even someone like an Ivanovic, you can bring him in for 3 million and sell him for double figures. And
didn't you have like Palermo bidding like 15 million for him or something?
And like Aziz, he was £1 million, and we, by all accounts, we bid like 18 million for him at the end of the window. So there is now that opportunity to really trade well. And I think for all the talk, I'm sort of going a little bit off tangent here, but for all the talk of how Ipswich have the best squad in the league, if you actually compare it to sort of like Coventry squad, for example, they've bought like Luke Wolfenden as a backup centre-back for £4 million, and they've been able to be run well and sell players like Jokeresh and Hamer in previous years, and buy players and invest that money in players like Ellis Sims, Hadji Wright, who are then worth a lot more than what they've paid for. And so it's not just the gap between the sort of parachute teams and the long-standing Championships teams. It does feel like it has closed a little bit recently.
Yeah, and I think that's exemplified. I think Millwall do as well. If you trade well for 4 windows in a row, then you mentioned you're then the best of the rest behind the parachute teams, just because of the sheer churn. Dave, we're pretty good in the first half here, aren't we?
We're very good in the first half. I mean, really good. I think Neil said in the chat, perhaps one of our better first halves of the one of the better halves, I'd say. It's certainly at home of the season. I thought really, really good, really positive on the front foot from the start, and just really, really good, really sharp. I've got to say, yesterday, certainly first half, Azam Matasiwa was just on a different planet to everyone else on the pitch. He was unbelievable.
I thought Clark was up there.
Clark got man of the match, got his goal. But, mate, Matasiwa was incredible, I thought, yesterday. I thought it might have been his best game, actually. He was just everywhere, just getting his foot in. He's now turning people. He's now very confident, facing up to Walton and spinning away. It just levels the guy. But no, right through the side, as Joe said, I thought McAteer had a good first half, confident. Not really one confidence-wise to beat his man for sheer pace like Burns, but was getting at half a yard, whipping balls in. Azon held the ball up. I thought really probably the best I've seen him at that, holding the ball up. And again, just as we said before the start, a worldy victim of another incredibly worldy save.
Yeah, I think before that as well, Joe, I think Dan Neil flashed one
Good effort
by the post as well, didn't he? Clark was at it. Am I being a bit harsh on Joe? Twice in probably the first 15, that ball flashes across the 6-yard box, and you're like, is there a goal hanger to just stick that in the net? And as Dave mentions, brilliant save by Patterson. What were your thoughts leading up to the goal?
Yeah, no, I thought we were brilliant. I thought we just were absolutely dominant from start to finish. Every time we lost the ball, Matasiwa won it back. Effectively, he was just everywhere, and it was no surprise that that's where the goal comes from. We sort of an attack breaks down, and who wins the ball back? Matasiwa just dives in there, wins it back, gives it to Jack Clark, who just cuts inside, and he looks for all the world. He's sort of going to go on the outside of the keeper, sort of angle it round, sort of use the defenders there, but he sort of drags it back inside, and I think Patterson's sort of slightly wrong-footed by it. It does because it looks like it gets a little bit of the nick, but it doesn't actually. It doesn't nick off him, does he? So he probably sees it late.
He sees it late, Joe. Yeah,
and I'm sure Anthony Patterson and Jack Clark have played together many times in training, so he knows what finish he likes to get round that side. And he sort of came the other side. And
Dan Neil and Tommy Watson's coming in later as well, Joe. Sunderland Union. Sorry, Karen, mate.
Yeah, no, that was it. It's just a really, really good goal, and it was the least we deserved from that first half performance. I thought we probably should have gone in maybe 2 up.
Well, he deserved a goal, Clark, didn't he? And I did a couple of Millwall chats and whatnot and previews, Dave. And I think the thing you need to say about Clark is Leif Davis wasn't there, and he still was super, super dangerous, managing to get nice and narrow. So I know we have fun and games with our peep show fandom, Dave, every week, don't we? But
no.
Johnson was behind him.
No, we should say, and someone mentioned in the chat, Johnson had a good game. Yeah, and certainly one of those opportunities where he actually did confident enough to whip one in on his left foot.
Well, and Dave, Aziz's entire game is get the ball, take 2 steps inside and cross it left-footed. So it might have actually worked having a right-footed left-back, mightn't it?
No, absolutely. But he put in probably best ball he put in all day was one that he put in left foot across the 6-yard box. And again, no one gambling on it. I think it just took out. Perhaps McAteer was trying, but it was just too far ahead of him at the back post. But superb bit of play. Yeah, he was solid enough at left back yesterday, I thought, again.
So we get to half-time, 1-0 up, Joe, and it transpires that the most important thing happening at half-time was happening in the Millwall dressing room, right?
Yeah, so they make a change, don't they? Come straight back out, and it's Ivanovic who comes on for Langstaff. So they sort of go from sort of Langstaff sort of playing behind him to just going 2 up top and just high press, long ball.
How much David Diamond likes that, Joe?
Put it in the mixer.
Get it in there, get 2 strikers on.
4-4, F in 2.
And I think the understanding, it was quite obvious that they needed to try something because they were going to. If the game carried on as it was, they were going to lose the game, and there was no way back for them playing. How
Alex Neil said exactly that as well. He was pretty humble about it, Joe.
We were miles better than them in the first half, and they needed to do something. And I think it was one of those sort of high risk, high reward substitutions for them. It's either it might work, but if it could easily have gone the other way, and had we just been a little bit better in transition once we did break into those acres of space we had, or Jack Clark probably half a dozen times sort of was fronted up with by Kramer, and it's like, you probably needed to do a bit more than what he did in that period. He's starting to look quite tired in the second half of games. I think not having Philogene in there has made him have to play a lot of minutes in this period, in the sort of last 8 games or so. So he was sort of struggling a little bit towards the end, and it was one of those ones. It was just let's try and get something out of the game. We might lose it, but we're going to lose it anyway. And unfortunately for us, it did the trick for them, and we weren't able to take advantage of the situations that we had.
Dave, Joe's been quite perceptive about this season, about the fact that we've found our flaw many times, haven't we? Where not like the worst case scenario that could happen happens, but what you didn't want here is for them to score off a 1v1 5 minutes after they've made the change to embolden them. We hadn't given a lot away, and I really enjoyed Furlong this season. But when the game is now, and maybe he hadn't had time to kind of adjust to it, because now everybody after the game, having heard the 2 managers explain it, that the game was Millwall pressing in a man versus man game, that did he just need to sit off for 5 minutes and not go after Negley? But it's a good bit of quality after that. But we got punished, and I think that's the point Joe's made quite a lot of times this season. I agree with him.
Yeah, he just tries to nick the ball, and I think he tries to win the foul as well. I don't think it's a foul. He just tries to get the jump on Negri, and it's quite strong play from Negri. Furlong goes to ground. He's basically rolled. I think it's Sturge that plays just a bit of a ball up the line, and let's say Furlong tries. That
was Efron Mason Clark. He'd have got a free kick, wouldn't he?
Yeah, probably. Yeah. And but then it's quality. Then it is sheer quality because he carries the ball pretty much to the edge of the left side 18-yard box, and it is a delightful ball. Which basically you could maybe Greaves perhaps ball watching, loses his man a bit.
Cross, Dave,
it's I agree. It's a fantastic cross. Takes out Greaves, takes out Walton, and fair play to Coburn, just gambling on it and easy tapping. Yeah, good goal, great ball.
Another moment, Joe, of us getting punished the most we could possibly get punished 5 minutes after a tactical swap.
Yeah, no, he's poor for Furlong, isn't he? He doesn't need to do what he did. And there's no foul there. And as soon as that Negley was in, it was like, oh God, you could see it coming, couldn't you? And it was, like Dave said, it was a brilliant ball in, just that the corridor of uncertainty in there. And Coburn couldn't really miss. The only way he misses if he hits it straight at Walton. That's all he could do. And the ball was soft, it was gentle, it sort of sat up nicely for him. And he finished it with aplomb, and the away end went berserk.
So
this is limbs in there.
Yeah, this is where I'm then hoping that the squad game wins it for us, Joe. But it was a bit more tit for tat, wasn't it? Why didn't our subs win it for us?
I don't know,
five of them.
Yeah, it was probably one of the only games this season where we've made subs and we sort of looked like we got worse from making the subs. Like we moved Jack Clark over to the right-hand side and brought Philogene on the left. And I think Philogene for Clark was probably the right sub for me, because I think we could have maybe just stuck with McAteer. But I guess you want to keep Jack Clark on the pitch because what he can give you. But he was looking leggy.
McKenna here, Joe. He's got two right wingers injured.
Yeah, and you got into really good. He got into a really good positions a couple of times, and he just wasn't really doing it in the second half for me, Jack Clark. So I think Philogene, ultimately, if you've got a player 1v1, I think maybe Philogene's got a little bit more quality when he is there to shoot and score goals from that, where the game was probably set up for Philogene, but he didn't look quite with it. But I guess you just hope, well, that's another 20 minutes in his tank, which will help him the other side of the international break to sort of be fully ready to go, because we know how good a player he is. And yeah, Jack Taylor came off for Dan Neil, but again, I know we were sort of a little bit under the cosh, but maybe that was sort of a game for Jens Kajus, where someone that could just actually break through the middle of the pitch, because there was a lot of space to be broken into. We weren't taking it, and we were struggling to play out with their press. And I think sometimes you need someone like Kajus who can just turn and beat a man and hold him off, and then all of a sudden the game's at the other end of the pitch. And then later on, it was Akpom for Mehmeti, and then Egley came on very late, didn't he? And Hurst on for Azam as well.
Yeah. It's no coincidence that Jake Cooper blocks a lot of stuff, isn't it, Dave? I think they were quite happy to defend. I know they pressed, but they're quite happy to stick the two midfielders right in front of, where the back four you would expect to be. And they're happy to just block stuff. And I thought particularly for Philogene, that was a bit of kryptonite for him, it being that crowded. And then it becomes a bit tit for tat. And I actually found myself pretty nervous watching it. And you're thinking, are the managers now saying, right, do not lose this game? As you get into 75, 80? It
was kind of frustrating that second half. So I don't think we played badly, particularly. Just our final ball decision making. I can remember Taylor having a great run. And it was crying out. This is by the time. So Philogene, just slip it into Clark, and he tried. Azon made quite a good run. Sorry, Akpom, I think, made quite a good run. Run across the centre half, and I could see what he was trying, but he just got it wrong. Good anticipation again by the centre half. And then I think Akpom had a ball in a similar position, tried to slip in Philogene in a, it would have been perhaps away, but just couldn't. Yeah, again, perhaps good anticipation by the defender. Final ball and decision making in those last 20 minutes when we had the ball up there wasn't particularly great. But I wouldn't say we played badly second half.
Who'd have been good in that situation, Dave?
Marcelino.
Nathan Broadhead.
Marcelino Nunes was the one. I think
he actually plays for us now.
Yeah, because there was another one where
he was the one.
It was obvious he was going to try and play in. I can't remember who it even was running down the side. That might have been Clark, but it's obvious he was going to try and play him in. But he'll actually just sometimes do it slightly differently. And the same like for Taylor when he broke. And I think the pass was sort of too obvious and too telegraphed that the defender was there for the pass rather than expecting a shot where Taylor just hit the target.
It was a great run. It was a hell of a run. Left his man.
Keep the ball a bit more and things like that, and just try and actually force them into a decision. Drag your defender in, and then make them make their mind up. Because I don't know, it just seemed from the sideline looked like he's going to pass. He's going to pass. Oh yeah, there's a pass, and defender's already there because he knew that's what you're going to do. And well,
but it's right what you were saying. Second half, Ben. We got the ball in good areas, certainly down the left. And Clark, obviously he was going to come inside. And then Philogene, when he came on, there was times they just crowded out, just couldn't get the ball out of their feet to have a clean strike. And it's good defending. They sat the two in front of the back for. I guess it's just good defending. And then when we did get a shot away, second half, they just blocked everything. But then then they made the subs. Then last 10 minutes, maybe not 10. 8 from 85 onwards.
Oh, they were more likely to score, weren't they?
They were. They were. It was Christ. In the end, I think so. First half, I think we must have had all our corners in the first half. So I think it was 9-8 in the end. But they must have had 8 corners in about 10 minutes and coming towards in that period.
But Dave, if you invert that, it's a positive that we didn't concede from any of them, isn't it?
No, we defended.
They are savage on the set play.
And I've got to Christian Walton was excellent.
Walton was excellent. He was coming for things in the one. There was one.
It's good that he got that decision, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Coburn
was pinning. Coburn was pinning him, wasn't he? But Walton did really well yesterday. And it was, people behind me in the crowd were sort of saying, come on, Walton, come and get it. And invariably he did, which was great. Really great to see. It takes the pressure off, but. Yeah, we were the team that were hanging on in the last knockings there for sure.
No more so, Joe, than it's one of those where everyone looks at it and says, "Oh, Millwall hit the bar in the last minute," but I actually thought the ball wouldn't come down for Aziz, so he pretty much did all he could. Walton kind of had to parry it, and it's a good save. Ivanovic had half a second, and there was 2 players on the line. The ball hits the bar. Okay, you can say the one bit of luck is it hits Walton and comes back out and doesn't go to a Millwall shirt. But I almost felt it was the most controlled scramble where pretty much everybody did all they could and the ball just didn't go in the goal. But we could lose the game there, Joe, couldn't we?
Yeah, easily, yeah. And I think it's sort of Watson, isn't it? He sort of gets on the ball down the left and plays a sort of neat little interchange. It comes across. And like I say, it's a really, really good save from Aziz that Walton makes there. And you need that bit of luck. If you're a goalie, you make a good save, you need a bit of luck on the follow-up. And we certainly got that because it's just against the bar, didn't it?
He doesn't do a lot wrong, Ivanovic, there, Joe, I don't think, does he?
Well, really? I guess you got to hit the target, don't you? And he doesn't.
Yeah, fair, yeah.
But yeah, no, that was very lucky. And like I say, for the last few minutes, I was sort of, normally I'm like, come on, one last effort. But it's like, we just need to get to full time here because it didn't feel like we had any way out to score in this game. And it felt like if one team was going to score, it was going to be them.
Good game then, Dave. We 64 on the possession, but the XG, Millwall take it probably by virtue of that scramble at the end of the game. They're 1.66, 1.48. 17 shots to 3 in our favour, 4 to 3 on target in our favour, but 3 what Foot Mob measure as big chances to 2 in Millwall's favour. Just 2 teams who are in the top 4 and neither of them duking it out. Neither of them had the moment of quality, the moment of luck. Nobody made the big mistake, and both games end up level. And despite all our parachute money, we have to accept that Millwall have matched us in the 2 games this season, Dave, haven't they?
Yeah, we've said this about Alex Neil before. He's a wily old Championship manager. He's been there, done it with Norwich, hasn't he? Been around, been around the
Dave,
championship.
that's 11 years ago. He's been around a long time.
Stoke, yeah. He and look, they absolutely went for it at half time, and fair play. Really made for a good game. I've got to say, really made for a good game. And I think as Joe said, just a little bit of frustration yesterday. We didn't make our superiority count more in the first half. So I think we were perhaps worthy of 2-0 at least in the first half. We played that well, but no, absolutely fair. Fair play to them.
Joe, final reflections for you. We'll come back to it in the questions, I'm sure.
Yeah, like Dave says, good game, wasn't it? And it was a fair result. I think both the draws against Millwall have been fair results both times we played them. They've been quite even games. And like I say, this one, the one at the Den was very different. It was sort of quite a stodgy game all the way through both teams. Where this was a clear one half, we were miles better. Second half, they were miles more likely to score. So it was. I think we got what we deserved. I think they're probably happy with a point there. It's probably, I'd say, the toughest game. Or they've got Middlesbrough next. I guess they'll probably say the same if they get another point against Middlesbrough and they just start winning their other games. They're in a very nice position.
Actually, quite like them to beat Middlesbrough now after that one. But we'll see. Very selfish reasonings for all of these things. Now, we'll come back and circle back to the Millwall game. You can ask Dave and Joe your questions about that in segment 4. In the meantime, here's a word from our show partners at Atwells.
Blue Monday is brought to you in partnership with Atwells Solicitors, your ideal legal partner for property and business law. Whether you're buying a home, starting a business, or just need legal guidance, our dedicated team has got you covered. Trust our award-winning customer service team to handle your legal matters with care and expertise. Find out more at atwells.com or visit us at our offices in Ipswich, Colchester, London, and our new location in Woodbridge.
Thank you to the wonderful people at Atwells. Beyond the scoreline is going to be back on top tier. That should be a really interesting one, actually, to see what the data says and, if Joe's game of two halves narrative holds up in terms of the underlying metrics there. Check that one out. ITFC women went under today, 2-0 at Forest Town, back at Portman Road next week playing Southampton. Rich is going to be chatting to, quote, at least one player during the week ahead of the big game. We'll do the usual preview show as well on Thursday night. That will probably be pre-recorded as we're in the international break. And then a couple of our number are off on holiday, so we'll figure out exact dates of content and whatnot. You might have to put up with me hosting the preview show, but we'll figure that out when Birmingham comes around. We have, as things stand, frozen new memberships over on Telegram. We are in the midst of a clever new little sort out there. So watch this space on that in terms of top tier and trying to find a bit of a better integration. That all sounds very boring, but it's taken up a lot of our time and we're trying to figure out the best solution just to get all of the wonderful paid subscribers we've got all into one place. So we appreciate your patience on that. Right, round 39, gentlemen. Preston 3, Stoke 1 on Friday night. Blackburn 0, Middlesbrough 0. I've got some stats, Dave. I think it's 72% possession over the last 3 games, 65 shots, 6.58 XG created, 1 goal and 0 wins for Middlesbrough over the last 3. Fascinating. Derby 1, Birmingham 0. It's a playoffy thing for Derby now, isn't it? Bristol City 0, West Brom 1, 4-4-2. Strikers in. Away you go, West Brom. Charlton 0, Norwich 1. Hull 3, Wednesday 1. So Hull back within 3 points now in the playoff positions there. QPR 6, Pompey 1. I give up on the championship sometimes. Just ridiculous.
Sorry, did you see the stats from that game?
Oh, that's 6 touches in the box, yeah?
Well,
you're allowed to score from outside the box, Dave.
Portsmouth had a higher XG.
Don't. You'll get all the old man shout at clouds people getting angry about the fact that sometimes teams score low probability chances and score 6 in one game. Sheffield United 1, Wrexham 2. I tell you what, fair play Wrexham after going to losing to Watford in midweek and going up there and winning. Southampton 2, Oxford 0. Southampton are 12 undefeated with 9 wins, and I redid the top 6 head-to-heads to include Southampton now. And of course, where are we going in between round 45 and 46? Watford 0, Leicester 0, Swansea 0, Coventry 3. Joe, we gave Coventry the title in November. Should we give it back to them now? I think given the drop, we've dropped points in 3 of the last 4 games. Middlesbrough 3 in a row, Millwall 2 in a row. They've won 7 out of 8, and they just need 2 more wins or a win and 2 more draws. And I don't think 2 other teams are getting 86 points. Joe, so fair play, Coventry.
Yeah, no. I turned the game on yesterday. I got, I'll put that on, and it was already 3-0 when I turned it on. I was like, okay, yeah, won't bother watching that. So that went, but yeah, no, they've been the best team in the league this year, and it's just frustrating that we've managed to beat them twice and not picked up the points like they have elsewhere, isn't it? But no, they're going to be champions.
To be fair, Leeds beat us twice, and look what happened to them.
Yeah, they're going to be fully deserved champions, aren't they?
Yeah, looks like it. Dave, are Middlesbrough going to win 4 in a row or something when we get back to play Millwall first? Hackney wasn't there for the first time this season. He didn't appear. Whittaker wasn't there. And I mean, you can look at the numbers, but use your eyes as well. It's in their heads. Conway and Brown missing chances there in the first half. They are, if you're analysing the 3 teams here, they're creaking more than Ipswich, more than Millwall, aren't they?
Oh, they're really wobbly. Yeah, they really are. I mean, they didn't look like it, did they? You know, going back three games ago, I think they just won
QPR, didn't they?
4-0, 2 weeks to the day, I think. And we're thinking, crikey, you know, where's this? This is getting away from us. But yeah, I mean, I suppose for them, the only bright spot of yesterday was our draw with, you know, neither us nor Millwall won the game yesterday.
We were dropping points yesterday. You got to go and win at Blackburn, don't you?
Of course you do. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Is there any coincidence that not only Hackney? I didn't realise Whittaker was out as well, because he's been obviously he's had a really pretty good season, hasn't he? I think he scored
Dave, no, because they did exactly the same thing with Hackney the last 2 games, didn't they? So
that's a good point, actually. Yeah, of course.
Because they have a lot. They have a lot of shots, and their XG or whatever does creep up. But again, yesterday I think it was just 2 big chances they created. So it's not like they're
the one for Conway, Joe, is
he's got to score. But I mean, when you're having 18 shots a game and you're doing this, and you like, I think when they played, I can't remember who they played when they lost to Bristol City, maybe, or the game before Bristol City, the opposition had more big chances. Yeah, Charlton had more big chances than them in the game. So I think they only had one. They had like 37 shots, but only 1 big chance. So I think it's an element that they control the game, so they're not able to get the ball from into the position to actually score the goal. They end up controlling the game, then just having sort of half chances and quarter chances here and there. So there's obviously an element of their play that's fallen down. I think when teams pack in against them, that they just can't create the chance they need to. But hopefully that will carry on.
I mean, a real measure of them. Millwall up next. That will be a real measure.
Oh, Millwall will fancy that, won't they?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, certainly seeing how they played yesterday.
Coburn going back up there.
Yeah, that will be a real measure of Middlesbrough. I think that will. Yeah,
but like I say, when you look at what Middlesbrough have done over the last 5 or 6 games, they should be up with Coventry, really, shouldn't they?
Oh yeah,
that run that they've had of fixtures that they've just not. They've not picked up points.
Joe, in the last 8 games, the point swing has been 11 in Coventry's favour over Borough.
But we should be looking there thinking, bloody hell, they're gone now. We're almost looking at 3rd.
I think someone said in the chat it's 2 wins in 8, isn't it?
Is that right? Yeah. Yeah. Sounds about right. And get your questions in, by the way, for the next segment, guys. I know it's easy to say, Dave, every transfer window, if you extrapolate every conversation, 99 out of 100 are fans of a team wanting strikers. Yeah, we get it. But the Borough fans are saying a little bit the same thing about us. Look, obviously, it's hard to get a striker in January. But, and look, if we had Liam Delap in our team, if they had Latte Lath in their team. But does it speak to the absence of, strikers in the Ipswich and Middlesbrough squads? Are you... I think Wright and Coburn and Ivanovic going to be the difference, or McBurney, Gelhart,
potentially,
Larin at Southampton now.
Potentially, yes. Obviously our two still. I think Philly Jean's still got 1 more or 2 more than her. So, two highest goal scorers are both wide players. It just hasn't for one reason or another, just hasn't happened for Hurst and Asson. I know I still say I'd like to see Akpom giving a go in the 9, but doesn't seem to fancy him there at all. But yeah, that could be because look, no secret. I think how Joe might know more than me how far down the road potentially we're in for Callum Wilson. You know, sliding doors moment. He comes on against Spurs and gets a winner, doesn't he? And then all bets are off.
And then it turns out the Spurs are absolutely terrible, and you shouldn't have judged anything on that anyway. Yeah,
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely right. Yeah. So look, there's a moment that could have gone our way potentially.
I think it's difficult because Hurst and Asson have just been. There's almost become two very different strikers, haven't they, this season? Where Hurst is someone who just wants to be running in behind all the time and sort of making those good runs and getting in space and holding the ball up that way. Where Asson is someone that you sort of can put the ball at his feet when he's got defenders on his back, and as long as he doesn't flop to the floor, he will hold the ball up and move it around. And one thing I would say is when we compare the two performances against Millwall, I thought at the Den he was I would like to say an embarrassment, but he was awful there. He just kept throwing himself down, couldn't hold anything up. Where I thought yesterday, he was excellent in the way he held up, the way he stood up to the challenge of the sort of Cooper and all that on his back the whole game when he was receiving the ball. I thought he was very, very good in that.
Really good.
But it's difficult because then you have Hurst come on and then you try and play the same way. And when you play the ball into him with defence on his back, he doesn't hold the ball up. He wants to be getting in behind all the time. So we've got ourselves in the position where our two strikers are of a very different profile to each other as well now, which I don't think is helping a lot.
No, I can see.
Sorry,
go ahead, Dave. Sorry.
Nunes is a player for Hurst, though, isn't he? If Hurst's going to make those run-ins behind you, you need Nunes there.
Yeah, fair. It looks like we're coming back to that in the questions. Anyway, Joe, how are you feeling about Southampton? And I think they're far enough back where, I mean, look, if they won all of their remaining games, they finish on 84 points. So I think they're far enough back that if they literally lose a game, then they're probably consigned to the playoffs at any point. And they do have in the running, I mean, they've got a game against Arsenal in the Cup, but they do go away to Wrexham. They play Derby, who are decent, and they've got us to play as well. So how are you feeling about Southampton? Are they just one of these teams that could just keep themselves nice and warm for the playoffs and be a real horrible threat?
Yeah, I think that's the case. Like, I think the bookies have them at 80-1 to finish in the top two. So it's just, you're talking about 1.2% chance of them making it there. So it's not going to happen because, I don't know, they've been on such a run for so long already. They've won like 10 of the last 12, haven't they? Or something along those lines.
12, yeah. If you include the cup game, 10 to 12, yeah.
Yeah, so you're not going to carry that on for another 7 games they've got to go, haven't they, as well? So it's just too much to ask, and there will be a regression of some point in that period. But I guess for them, they just need to work out like what Sunderland did last year, whether they can sort of rest players into the playoffs and make sure
I recommend resting
enough
players
points
on April the 28th, Joe.
Yes, yeah, that'd be nice, yeah, against us. But hopefully that is the case by the time we play Southampton. Then
massively,
they're tied in and we're second,
Joe,
third,
as well. I don't want to question anyone's integrity. They probably won't want to play us in the playoffs as much as we'll be terrified of them. There's probably a scenario where it might suit Southampton to not beat Ipswich on the 28th. We hope that's always the case.
But there's probably also a scenario where a coach doesn't want to show his sort of main hand as well if he's sort of working on stuff for the playoffs.
Do you remember Middlesbrough Coventry in 22-23? It was exactly like that. They just basically had a friendly in round 46 and then played 2 playoff games.
Yeah, and it happened, I think Leeds and Southampton did it as well, didn't they?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, and then Russ Martin went for it at the back, didn't he? So he completely changed it, didn't he?
And there's of course the other scenario where we could be up by then.
Yeah.
That requires some nice run away from home. I tell you what, I'll take that. So who are we getting? Does that mean we get promoted at Portman Road then, Dave? We're getting well ahead of ourselves anyway. Do we need to talk about relegation at all, or should we just move on to the questions?
I think what we should mention, Wrexham, what a great win that was, coming from behind as well. Great win.
Fair play. The biggest problem for Wrexham, though, is Southampton, isn't it?
Yeah.
Dave, can you see any way that Wrexham and Southampton both overtake Hull and Hull finish 7th?
Yeah, of course I can. Yeah, I mean, Hull, look, fair play. I mean, okay, Sheffield Wednesday yesterday, you'd thought that was, if there is a home banker, we said they cashed in their second Sheffield Wednesday token yesterday. But I certainly can. Yeah, Hull have been very up and down recently, haven't they?
Right. Let's get into questions. Get them in right now. And Richard's going to star some in the background. How do I get rid of that? There we go. Let's go straight to them right now. I knew this one would come up, so that's not me planting that one. Would you swap Azon and Hurst for Ivanovic and Coburn? Go on. I'll put my neck on the line. Yes, we don't own Azon. I looked it up when I saw the question. They're 21 and 23, those two as well. I think they've got more value. I think you've got your runner in Coburn and your finisher in Ivanovic. So go on. I'll be brave. Yeah, I'd swap them. What say you, Dave?
I'd have perhaps said no, but going on what you just said, yeah, I agree. I didn't realise how young they were. 20, you say 21 and 20? Wow. Yeah.
21 and 23.
Yeah, I mean, based on...
Also, another thing to say is, though, we bought Hurst for 1.5 million and Azon's on loan. Ivanovic was 3 million and Coburn was 5,
like
was he? Yeah.
No, he's more than that, mate. Yeah.
So their pair of strikers cost them the best part of 10 million and ours cost us 1.5 and a loan fee. So it is this is when I was sort of saying earlier about how how trading well for a period does allow these parachute teams.
To be fair, in that period, we signed Liam Delap, which is probably the best striker signing any ex-EFL team has done in terms of promoted teams in the last 5 years. So we didn't get it all wrong, did we? But there we go. Joe, how do you feel about K-Mac's in-game tactical decision making in response to opposition changes?
I think it's fine. I think generally, if you look, there's most games we end more games strongly than we do poorly. I think yesterday was one of very few examples where we haven't been able to react. But I think it's more for me. We had a bit of a chat in Telegram about this, but it was for me. It's more execution than it was tactics today. Like we had enough opportunities to break on them, to play out with trouble, to drive the ball into space, and when we did that, we didn't do enough with it. So I think it's just more that the players didn't do what they needed to do than anything else.
Dave, Adam asks, does anyone think this town side has the minerals to get this done in the remaining games?
I think we've covered this pretty much every single week. This comes up, doesn't it? Yeah, it's, as I said before, it's going to be a real test of the mettle of the mettle of the squad. And if you haven't got the minerals, if you haven't got the minerals at this stage of the season, then you'll never have them. So I think there's enough about us. Just get these players back. Davis, I think, was a big miss. I thought Johnson had a pretty good game. We missed Davis yesterday. Not so much at Sheffield Wednesday. Davis has been a miss. So get these players back. Get everyone fully fit and flying again. And I'm sure we can do it. But it's going to be a real test. And these 5 away games are going to be so difficult. Each and every one of them are going to be difficult.
Joe, thoughts on Dara's captaincy? Can I just have my quick old man yells at Cloud? The corner stuff is ridiculous. This is not O'Shea or Cooper or Ipswich or Millwall. It's just everybody fouling everybody else on every corner. And I don't want to hear, just give penalties and it will stop. Well, who do you give a foul to when there's 5 different people all fouling each other? And when do you do it? And how do you start? And it's just ridiculous, that dance they were doing before all the corners today. Anyway, your thoughts
and if you're the attacking
captaincy
team as well, like what's the penalty? You either give away a goal kick or you get a penalty.
We had the discussion with Brent when we played Brentford.
Yeah,
last season.
Yeah, I've got no real issues with O'Shea's captaincy. I think it's just sometimes people just look for something when we aren't going well because he's not Sam Morsey balling people out all the time. But
yeah,
that Sam Morsey was a very special captain, and he was at all his clubs a very, very good captain. But I'd say I don't think it's a huge difference between the two of them. I think, like I say, we've been blessed to have a captain like Sam Morsey, and he helped us bring that success onto the pitch. But his time was up here, so he had to move on. And I think O'Shea has done fine, and we're in a decent position going into the last few games of the season. And hopefully, he'll be the captain that gets us back up this time round.
David, does Kipre or Greaves start the next game?
Kipre, I think Kipre definitely starts. If someone just said in the chat there that we probably missed Kipray going forward, carrying the ball, picking a pass, which we know he can do.
It'd be nice to have his size yesterday as well.
And we've been lovely to have had certainly had his size. Yes, I don't think it made any effect to the actual goal itself, but we have missed him. So yeah, I'm sure he'll be back. He'll be back in for Birmingham.
MPR 26V, I got it right this week. Thank you very, very much. Another super chat every single time. Very, very kind indeed. Joe, Ben asks, am I the only one who rates McAteer? Well, the sporting director and the CEO obviously do if they drop 12 million on him, and the manager did to start him in this game, but I've been a bit cantankerous, Ben, sorry. How was it?
Yeah, and he's talking about the one where the cutback that should have been finished yesterday. And I think that's where, not saying that I was frustrating him, but he just had the left back up against him and he just absolutely burned him. He just knocked the ball past him and flew past him. And it's like, come on, show some more of that pace, show some more of that intent. You've got this full back on toast if you want him to have. And then he didn't do it again after that. But I think there's an irrational dislike of McAteer to some extent, because I don't think he's been as bad as been made out, but he's obviously not been good, and that's the problem. And I think
he's so expensive as well. Joe.
Yeah, and this is the problem that he's the sort of Wes Burns clone, effectively, the guy that can run up and down the right wing. We let Ogbene go, we brought in McAteer, we had Valley-Egley, and I think it's meant that Valley-Egley's played a lot more than he's needed to, which has then meant his form has sort of curtailed and sort of gone downhill. And so McAteer, the signing of McAteer has been a problem for us this year, because whether I think he's doing better or other people think he's not doing better, it's sort of not really the main thing. Kieran McKenna obviously hasn't been impressed with him, because there's been, like I mentioned at the start, there's been half a dozen times this season we think it's got to be like when I think we're away at where was it? It's like Watford away and things like that, and you think, some tough away games. Sheffield United away was a big one where we thought this isn't really a game for Egley sort of there, when he got ran all over, and McAteer just sat on the bench for the game. And you think, well, if you can't play him in these sort of games when he's a relatively experienced, young but strong physical player, and he's not been trusted in these games, it's been an issue. So hopefully that he's earned the trust from McKenna, and he will be a factor over the last half a dozen games of the season.
I thought it was his best game to date, I thought, yesterday.
Yeah. And hopefully that's given him a bit of a lift in a big head-to-head, on TV, big full stadium, etc., and not necessarily disgracing himself in that one. Paul, thank you on the super chat there, $9.99. Universal love for the Foundation Day training shirts from at ITFC Southwest. Yes, they were resplendent on Sky TV yesterday. Players wearing them pre-match. Lovely stuff. Dave, how big a save was Patterson's from Azon? I guess he's alluding to the fact that maybe the toothpaste had been out of the tube if we scored then and we could have got the second goal. I don't know. Before
I think so. Yeah, absolutely. Game. So you don't quite see it. Well, as the game transpired, yes, it was a game changer. Although we subsequently went on to score the first goal in a great time to score, 41, 42 minutes or whatever it was. But it was just an unbelievable
quite symbolic, that type of save. It's like you're going to have to work hard to score against us, isn't it? Yeah.
I watched that back today, and it's better than I thought. It was incredible save. One hand, totally instinctive, and managed to push it up and over. Incredible save.
Joe. This will go down well. If Town go up and Millwall don't, is there a chance that Kramer and Aziz is Town's right-hand side next season? I think you'll get a lot of people saying, sign some players from abroad and don't go back to the EFL if we go up. But no, they're very good right-hand side, aren't they? Millwall.
I thought Kramer was a bit sluggish, to be fair. Yeah. And Aziz did nothing really yesterday.
No, it's the quietest he's been for a while.
I think there had been talk that he'd been ill in the week, so maybe it was just the after effects of that. But I thought he was really quiet and just did very, very
Kramer's
little.
played centre-back for a run while Taylor's been out.
Yeah, he looked like a centre-back playing on the right to me.
Yeah.
And
playing against Jack Clark as well.
Yeah, I'm certain. And like I say, that's really the first time I've watched Kramer, and it wasn't one that I'd be looking to go back for. And Aziz, on yesterday's performance, I wouldn't. But he's obviously had a fantastic season. Mate, and it's a player who will probably be in the Premier League next season, one way or another. So, yeah, I wouldn't just judge him on yesterday's game when you see his stats and his numbers and some of the highlights on him.
David, LJ, with our fixture congestion to finish the season, does Akpom get a go in the 9 off the bench, or in rotation. I mean, Azon and Hurst going to be fit right the way through. Surely he'll get a go at some point, won't he?
You'd have thought so, but I'd say potentially off the bench, because he doesn't look like he wants to start him in the 9. But to me, he just looks like a 9. I just don't see. Don't get why he's got Azon and Hurst fit. But yeah, I'd have thought if it does happen, it's likely to be off the bench and not as a start, unless it's forced to by injury. Hopefully
I think what I said about earlier about how Hurst doesn't hold the ball up very well when he's got a man on his back, that's exactly what Akpom does do, doesn't he? He's a strong old boy, and
he really does.
You give the ball to him and it sticks, and he
really
lays it
does.
off.
Yeah,
I think maybe that's what we needed.
What do you make of his yellow card for diving yesterday, Joe?
Who, Azon?
Yeah,
I didn't think it was him that was booked, because during that, like, one of their players chopped down someone on a break, and the ref played on, and it looked to me like, because it was right in front of where I was sitting, it really looked like the ref was looking at the Millwall player when he was given the yellow card, as opposed to Azon, who was sort of in front of him. I see it's been put as Azon on like all the stat sides, but I don't know whether that's been confirmed that was actually him, because it didn't look like a dive.
53 minutes Azon. Yeah, it's there on the stat site, but
I'd be interested to see if that's on like the FA sites come the end of the week, because it really looked like he was booking the Millwall player for there.
It's a bit of homework for you then, Joe. Whose question is it? Is it yours, Joe? Panel, do you agree with myself that Norwich and Southampton are the two most important games to get a result? Colin, you're a great contributor, but no, I think the Middlesbrough game's the most important one to get a result. Joe?
Yeah, to me, they're all... We've got to get 7 decent results in the last 7 games, don't we? Or 8 games, isn't it? They've all got... Not they've all got to be good results, but we can't really afford any bad results in there.
No, amen. I think that should just about do it. I've only got 4 minutes remaining. So look, I know we moan a lot on this podcast, Dave, but hey, we're football fans. We're allowed. It's fixtures just so stupid, aren't they, with this FA Cup? So we now go away for an international break, and then we don't play on Good Friday, which means you then have the Birmingham game all on its own, and then kind of the run starts from there on, doesn't it? As Joe mentioned, Saturday, Tuesday,
Birmingham,
Sunday,
Norwich,
Wednesday, Saturday, Tuesday, Saturday, which is just comically stupid when you think about it. But what are you going to do? And everyone will just say we're getting our excuses in early, but it is stupid. How do you approach this Birmingham game then? Because it's kind of there on its own before you hunker down and go crazy, and it's almost unhelpful. It's at home. You could have faced an away game there with all the prep before you go on a stupid run. So how is he going to approach this one on its own and then 7 in 22 days or whatever it is?
On that note, Ben, how much bonkers it sounds. Any chance Birmingham might have a new manager by then?
There's always a chance, isn't there? Did you see John Eustace said coded no fear football in his
fair play to him. I love it.
That's hilarious.
Good on him. Absolutely.
That's hilarious, isn't it? I don't think so, but I'm not a crazy American hedge fund manager. I'd keep him and run it into next season, to be honest. And I think they need to have a look at Coventry's advantage of winning through from December or whenever Lampard came in last season.
Birmingham will be interested. Birmingham will be interested. Hopefully Nunes will be fit and get a start. Hopefully, or at least on the bench. That's what we've been told. It was international break. I think we'll see Kipre back in at centre half, and then a decision to make whether Greaves, I guess, goes to left side because it's Davis's last game of suspension, or we stick with Johnson. So that'll be an interesting one. I think that will be perhaps the most biggest decision of the team. No doubt there may well be we'll see a Hurst in the 9 again, as in a rotation again, although it's 2.5 weeks away, for God's sake, virtually 2.5 weeks away. Big game. Certainly cannot afford to be dropping any points in that one.
No, we talk about the schedule that we've got, though.
So sorry, I was just going to say, Joe, Dave makes a good point though. They're going to come, they're not very good away from home, and Davis even referenced that in his post-match, and the fans are not enjoying the fizzling out of the season. But sorry, Joe, continue your thought.
Yeah, when you look at the schedule we've got, and this is the only game that's to our advantage in this schedule because they've got to play on the Friday and then to go again on the Monday. So this is the game where we've just got to fly into them and run them off the pitch as well as beat them on the pitch as well. We just got, because every other than that, so we got that one, then the Saturday, and then after that we are sort of behind the 8 ball compared to our rivals in nearly every game between then the end of the season with days of rest and stuff like that. So this is the one game that's to our advantage. We've got to make the most of it. We've got to win that one.
Also, Joe, is there almost a sense if you're Chris Davis and you've got Blackburn home on Good Friday and Ipswich away on Easter Monday, you chuck your cards in on the first game for the 3 points?
Prioritise one, don't you?
Yeah, I think you do. There we go. Right, thank you, everybody. Good game to talk about. Very good promotion race, even though we prefer it to be a little bit more boring and us to be winning everything. But that's selfish football fans for you, isn't it? Last word from you, Joe.
Yeah, and like I say, Dave said, get Nunez back in there. I think he was almost half ready yesterday. That McKenna said before the game there was a chance yesterday. So get him in there. We can start winning every game again when he like we do when he plays.
And Dave, last word from you, matey.
Yeah, we're going to miss it. Going to miss this. Going to miss it during this international break. But let's come back fit and firing against Birmingham.
There you go. And for the first time in Blue Monday history, you can hear the outro of the show for the second time right now.